Hey friends, welcome back to Halfway to Healing. I am Sam.
And I'm Sharna, and today we're honouring Disability Pride Month, a time to celebrate disabled identity, challenge stigma, and take up space without apology.
This episode is a mix of personal reflection, a little bit of collective truth. We're talking about what disability pride means to us, how internalized ableism has shaped our journeys, and why disability is not a flaw. It is just kind of part of who we are.
Whether you identify as disabled or you're still unpacking that relationship with your body, mind, or health, we're holding space for all of it. So let's get right on into it.
Oh, disability pride.
My goodness. Can I just say, just as a little disclaimer, I am sick. I have had something. So if I sound a bit funny, that is why. I'm mostly better now, but then this morning I woke up and my tonsils were very inflamed. So I think I might have tonsillitis or strep now after literally just getting over a cold. So
well, we appreciate you showing up and coming to the recording session. Anyway, I also might sound a bit weird. I've been on testosterone for about 6, maybe 2 months now. And apparently, it's a really funny story. Yesterday, I was eating cheezels while I was on the phone to my partner. And she was like, I think your voice is starting to change, as like a good thing. And I went, I'm just eating cheezels. Totally missing the point.
It's been 2 months already.
Yeah, 2 months.
Wow.
But I definitely have been like a lot phlegmier, and like I can like I since she pointed it out, can like kind of tell a little bit that it definitely sounds a little raspier and a little different. So also if you go and watch episode 1 and then you come in, I don't know, another 2 months, come and listen to one of the episodes and I sound really different. That's why. Also, I love that I start every episode with "ooh" and then the topic as like a way to segment, because I don't have a way to like get it into.
I think it's a way of going from like the formal introduction to more like a casual conversation.
Yeah, it's my brain just being like, "ooh, let's talk about this." So interestingly, I'm just going to start off the bat because like one of the things I think we need to talk about is like what actually is Disability Pride Month. And I actually used to have a problem with it.
Oh, did you?
Like, yeah, and not like, I thought it was great that we were celebrating, but I had a big issue with calling it Pride.
Right.
Because with Pride Month in June for the LGBTQIA plus community, and then followed up with Disability Pride, I felt like it was taking something away from my own. I mean, I identify in both these communities, but I felt like it was taking something away from LGBTQ plus pride. And I watched something that was like, it's about identity. And they're both about identity, and there needs to be room for both of them. And I watched this video and I was like, oh my gosh, that's so right. It doesn't have to take away anything from either group by calling it pride. Like it's about being, to me, it's about being proud and having pride for your identity, whether that's in the LGBTQ plus space or if it's in the disability space, and really trying to combat at least, that discrimination that a lot of these groups experience, that I've experienced, and not, for me, not hiding who I am and not putting that down. And I think that's why, and I shared this story because this was like a year ago that I had this opinion until I watched this video. I don't know what the video, normally I would be like, I'll link the video, but this was like so long ago, I would not be able to find some random Instagram reel that I watched. Just wouldn't happen. But I think Disability Pride Month to me is about honoring my disabled identity, fighting that both internalized ableism and also that externalized ableism as well. And I think it's important to recognize that so many disabilities now are, not now, but like that we are aware of now, are so invisible, like I remember when I got my walker, I remember being so excited that it was going to be finally obvious to other people that I have a disability because I've got a walking aid. And that's kind of really sad because I've been disabled a lot longer than I've had my walking aid. But to be excited to get it just because I wanted it, like people could, you know, would have to let me get a seat on the bus, you know, and because, you know, I've got blood pressure problems and all of this that come with my disabilities. And so standing on a bus is not an option, but when you don't have an aid, it was a big thing for me to be excited that I could get a seat on the bus every time I got on the bus. So I think that's kind of what it means. Do you have any, I know you don't have disabilities, Sharna, but is there anything like that you want to say, like what it means for you and like how you see it from a more like outsider perspective?
Yeah, absolutely. I really liked how you touched on it being, when you were saying previously how you didn't really like the term pride being used, because as being someone in the LGBTQIA plus community, that sort of felt like it was taking a bit away from you. But then when you said it's about identity, I don't know, something about that I really liked. And because, like, obviously there's going to be, like, an overlap in those two groups, you know? There's going to be disabled people that aren't in the LGBT community, and there's going to be people that are. There's going to be people that are in the LGBT community that aren't in the disabled community. So I think phrasing it as being a way of pride for your identity is really, I don't know, well spoken by you, I think.
Thank you.
Yeah. And like, I understand, like, you know, when we catch public transport or something, I can't imagine what it must have been like beforehand. Like, you see, like, I don't know, on like public transport and stuff, you see like the reserved seats for disabled people like elderly people, pregnant ladies and stuff, pregnant women, or pregnant trans men can.
I would just go with pregnant people.
Pregnant people, there we go. Thank you.
No worries.
Yeah, I was like, how do I phrase it right? Thank you. And then, you know, having you get on the public transport, seemingly looking like a healthy, non-disabled person, being like, oh, can I actually have that seat? And people being like, okay. You know, because like we're both young. And so I feel like even though people shouldn't have had like the need to question you without the walker, I feel like the walker definitely does give it that a lot more visible signs, which is, I don't know, I feel like it has its pros and cons, because I mean, people will be ableist and be like, you know, and just be like, oh, well, that person is okay, even though, you know, it's interesting.
It's so funny because before I was visibly disabled, I wouldn't ask.
Yeah.
Like, I have collapsed so many times on public transport because I'm not gonna, because I mean, I'm 25 and I look about 18, right? Like, I look really young. Yeah. I look like a school kid or a uni student. And so I had this worry that if I asked for a seat that I needed because I can't stand for long periods of time, that I'd be met with a lot of judgment.
Exactly.
And I don't want to explain to some stranger on the bus that, oh, I've got, you know, disabilities that impact my ability to stand. I don't want to explain that to some stranger on the bus.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like, what am I going to do? Pull up my business Instagram and be like, see, I'm disabled. You know? So, and I shouldn't have to, right? I shouldn't have to explain to random strangers on the bus or the train or wherever that I have disabilities, which is why I think I was so excited for it to be a little bit more visible. Yeah. But at the same time, it comes with its own challenges because, I mean, I found out the hard way that bus drivers are I'm at the discretion of bus drivers in peak hour to let me on the bus or not. Yeah. there's a lot of, I don't know where I was going with any of this, but like
No, that's
you're
all
very
good.
right. Like it comes with its pros and cons.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, absolutely.
it's difficult to transport anywhere
Mm,
with the walker, you
yeah.
know, like, and then sometimes, you know, like how often do I have, like we'll go to the shops or something and you'll be driving and I'll be like,
Mm.
Sharna, can you please get it out of the car for me?
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
there's so many different things, and I think, and a lot of it is my own internal, like I always like it's that almost internalized ableism where I think if I just act like I'm not disabled, I'm just not gonna be disabled.
Yeah.
Like yesterday was a really bad day for me, and I was like beating myself up. That internal criticism of like, I pushed myself way too hard this week with work. I did like a 14-hour day one day. Yeah, like I pushed myself this week with work.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it looks like next week's going to be just as rough. It's good in some senses because I've got a full client load. Like I've got 7 clients at the moment. So it's great. I've got a full client load. But at the same time, I've got a full client load and still have medical appointments and all of this.
And I guess, sorry, you go.
No, you go.
I was just going to say, I guess it didn't help that I didn't work last week because I was so sick as well. You were like sending me like a picture. You're like, how do I do invoices again?
Oh
and I'm like dying in bed. I'm like,
I was like, I felt really bad because I was on the phone to my partner and I'm like, I really want Sharna to feel better and to not stress about work, but oh my gosh, my whole plate just got so much bigger.
Oh, don't worry, I'm feeling a lot better.
I'm so glad. But of course it's balancing that. It's like, you know, some things had to get done last week.
Yeah.
And you weren't available, and that's totally okay because you were sick. I understood that. I can't believe I ever, worked without you because I used to do this all the time for myself, and I'm like now like this little, like I don't know how to do the invoices.
You just give me little tasks, and you're like, Sharna, can you do this thing?
But yeah. Anyway, my point is like I was beating myself up yesterday because all I did yesterday was lie in bed. Because I just had nothing. I used all my spoons.
Have you explained the spoon theory?
Oh, the spoon theory.
I don't think we actually have. I'm not sure if we have explained the spoon theory.
Oh, so okay.
Should we go over it again?
Yeah, if we haven't, we're going to explain the spoon theory. So the spoon theory, I'm going to get pens because I don't have spoons in my room. So we've got, but I just think that it's a lot easier to explain with a visual.
Yeah, absolutely.
So everybody, you see the pens, everybody gets given spoons or pens. I'm going to keep saying pens, even though it's a spoon theory, because I'm holding pens and I will confuse the crap out of myself.
Just hear pens, but think spoons.
Yeah, think spoons. So everybody is given a resource of pens. And the pens indicate your energy level. So somebody who is completely healthy, it might take 1 pen to get up, eat breakfast, do all like their morning routine stuff. That's only 1 pen. I've got 7 pens here. And then they've got 7 pens to do the rest of the day. And most tasks, but like collection of tasks, like might only take a able-bodied person 1 thing. And usually there's always a finite amount of pens for people, but typically if you're able-bodied, you might have like 30 pens or spoons or whatever metric you're using, pieces of energy. If you have a disability, you are only given 7 pens a day. Except getting out of bed is 1 pen. Put that there. Having breakfast is another pen. Getting dressed is another pen. Having a shower, another pen. And so you've done your morning routine and you've already expended 4 pens and only have 3 more pens for the day. And if you're having a particularly bad day, each step in that might, like, you know, making breakfast, getting the bowl out, making it, all of that might be 4 pens itself. It does change depending on the day, it fluctuates, but you still only have 7 pens in total. Now, as you can tell, I mean, getting up in the morning's already depleted over half of your pens. So how do you ration these out so that you can work, see that friend, go to a medical appointment, all of the normal things that you do in a day, And excuse me.
You're good.
And you can borrow pens from the next day, but then if I borrow 3 pens to get through Thursday, well, then I have only 4 pens left for Friday. So it's a really good visual, and that's the spoon theory, or pen theory as I made it.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it becomes a kind of challenge because sometimes you can't make it out, you know. And this week I just kept borrowing spoons all week. To get through each day. So yesterday I was negative spoons, because you can have negative spoons. I had negative spoons yesterday. My big problem is I'm a big borrower, and I just keep borrowing until my body literally does what it did yesterday, and I just shut down. And I just can't do anything. Some people will use the spoon theory to describe mental health issues as well. For at least my conditions, don't feel like it applies to my mental health the same way it applies to my physical health and my physical disabilities. But it is a really good visual, I think, to show people. Like, it's like, you know, you literally saw that there was only 3 spoons after I got out of bed. So that's the spoon theory. I will also link to the creator of the spoon theory. It's not my own idea, but I'll put a link in the description of the spoon theory too, if you want to read it. That's the spoon theory.
The spoon theory. Such a great theory too, I think. Because it's really, like, people, like, I was going to say people like me, but I really need to see things, like, visually to be able to understand them. And so I think having some sort of visual representation of really helps. And I think that's the case for a lot of people.
I remember in grade 11, I did that demonstration for my cohort at school. Now, by that point, I'd been disabled for about 3 years, and a lot of people had seen me kind of get out of a lot of things at school. Like, I don't know if you did this, but every term a year level had to pack up the chairs. After
assembly. Okay.
Yeah. We'd have
we didn't have chairs at my assembly. We just had to sit on the cold floor.
Like a heathen.
Sorry, not all of us went to a private school.
But each term, but I never had to do that because this was in the afternoon. I was pretty tired and I still had like 3 classes left to do in the day. So like if I packed up the chairs, I'd have to go home. Like, so I never had to pack up the chairs. I often got out of doing a lot of stuff. And for a long time, I think my peers resented me a little bit because Sam's just standing around doing fuck all. And in year 11, for whatever reason, I decided to just do this demonstration, and I got like 4 people to come up. I gave them like 20 spoons each, and I asked them like one by one. I was like, "What did you do this morning?" And they like described, and I just started yanking spoons away.
Like, give me those spoons.
Yeah, give me those spoons. And I think it really got them to understand. Like, we're talking a bunch of 16-year-olds. Got them to understand that I was running and doing life on hard mode at 16. Like, you know, and I think for me as well. Anyway, so before I jump into like a totally different topic.
Yeah, okay.
But it really helped them understand where I was coming from, and that I'm not packing up chairs and doing things that everyone else is doing. Not because I don't want to, not because I'm lazy, not because I'm being a little shit. But because I physically, like, I don't have the resources to do it. You know, it explained why so many times in the middle of the day I'd have to go to sick bay and just have a nap.
Yeah.
You know, and so it was a really good demonstration, and I think it really got people, you know, especially a bunch of 16-year-olds who are not exactly known for their empathetic qualities. But I think as well, I definitely made my life a lot harder by also using substances and having an eating disorder, because obviously they're going to deplete my resources as
that
well.
would have taken a lot of spoons.
And I think, I mean, that's a big reason I use substances a lot to give myself extra spoons to push through, because I was so...
it gave you extra spoons?
Not in like the immediate, but like at least enough to numb the fact that I didn't have the energy. right? Like,
Yeah.
I just wasn't aware. A big part of my recovery, actually, in just across the board, was learning how to reconnect with my body, because I had detached myself from it for so long through the eating disorder, through substance abuse, all of these things. I had no idea what my body was doing, how it was working. And so that was like a big part of my recovery, was like, how do I connect back with my body? Because I just was so detached from it for such a long time.
Yeah. Wow. That's insane. Something I just sort of thought of this past however long we've been recording. How do I phrase this? I'm not very articulate with the words. How everyone has, I guess, their own sort of definition, understanding of ableism. And obviously me being like a non-disabled person has my own understanding of it. But I would love to hear your sort of definition as being a disabled person.
Oh, the definition of ableism.
Yeah. Like, as a disabled person,
Yeah,
you know?
I think ableism is such a complex kind of topic.
I think
there's I'm just thinking, because I don't...
Yeah, go for it.
I think inherently the way the world is structured is in a very ableist way. That's not really providing a definition, though. I think it's most of the ableism that I've experienced is more systemic stuff. It's that, like the NDIS and Centrelink and all of that require forms to prove you're disabled. And with my ADHD and autism, I can't fill in a goddamn form to save myself.
Yeah.
So it's stuff like that where it's like, yes, it's necessary, but there's no systems in place to help people like myself who really struggle. No easy to access services that help me fill in those forms. And so I haven't necessarily experienced like explicit or direct ableism that's like I guess ableism is just prejudice against someone for having a disability, but I've never experienced it where, you know, I've been in public with my walker and someone's been like, oh, you fuck you because you're disabled. You know, I've never experienced anything like that with my disability, but I have experienced more systemic ableism, like the forms, like being told I'm not sick enough for help.
That's always one, isn't it?
Yeah. Or, you know, I was told once by someone in the NDIS sphere that I had too many disabilities for the scheme, and it's like,
but you're here to help
disability scheme. What do you mean I have too many for the scheme? And they told me to pick one, and it's like, that's not how the disabilities work. They work together. They work in tandem. Okay, they're not
just pick one disability.
Yeah, just pick one disability. So it's a lot of the ableism I've experienced externally has been more systemic stuff. It's things like the fact that I can't always get on a bus because it's peak hour traffic and there's too many people on the bus, even though if the people move further down the bus, I could get on fine. It's more stuff like that I experience. And then my internal ableism, because I'm probably I think sometimes that if I just tried hard enough, I wouldn't be disabled.
It's always like we're always our biggest critics, aren't we?
And so I do often sometimes just pretend that I'm not disabled so that I can go to the shops, and then I pay for it later because I am disabled and it is something I can't just pretend that I'm not, and it's fine. And so, those are the two biggest kind of factors that I experience with ableism, is the internalized and the systemic stuff. And I'm hoping by giving the examples, I kind of explained what they were a little bit, because I don't have like the direct... Oh my gosh, you read a lot.
Yeah.
This is such a little bit of a tangent.
Go for it.
But do you know the meaning of words and can only describe them in like a sentence because you've got the context?
Sometimes,
You've got the context for it because you learnt it reading, but you don't know like the specific definition of the word.
I'm like, how do I explain? Like, I know exactly what you mean. Someone's like, explain this word, and I'm like, it's this, you know? It's what it means.
Oh my gosh. Sorry, that's what I was thinking. I was like, I just gave a lot of examples of ableism, but I don't think I like described it.
No,
I don't think I said like a specific definition. But yeah, so does that kind of answer your question?
It does, yeah. And yeah, as I guess I feel like my understanding is obviously a lot more, I want to say, broad than yours, as being someone who's not disabled. Backs up. Oh my gosh, honestly. What was I saying? I feel like mine's a bit more sort of broad as being someone who's not disabled. But when I think about it, I feel like prejudice goes back so far in our society. You know, when you think about like women's rights and, you know, African American rights. And I just feel like there's been so much prejudice throughout history. And sometimes I'm like, is there going to ever be like a society where there's no prejudice towards anything? Like I feel like we're getting a bit better. But then obviously there are still those very small-minded prejudiced people, you know?
Who unfortunately are in power.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I remember a big thing, I think, that people who are not oppressed fear is that if we give rights to any oppressed people, it will take away rights from them. Yeah. And I remember seeing something once where it was like, equality is not a pie. Just like if you give a bigger like if you give more to, I can't remember what they said it was like, but it's not a pie. Giving more rights to an oppressed group is not going to take away rights from you. And that just blew my mind. I was like, yeah, it's not a pie. We're not out here fighting for every scrap of apple rhubarb pie over here. You know, we're all just trying to get on some level. And I think having you know, LGBTQ pride in June, having disability pride in July, you know, International Women's Day, you know, all of these, for lack of a better term, awareness movements is to help people, I think, understand that people who aren't in these groups understand that we are here and we deserve to be seen. It's, you know, a big thing. We talked about this in the workplace thing, but just because you bring it up, like, it's not a reflection on what you are able to, like, me being disabled is not a reflection on my ability to do work. It's not a reflection on my ability to be a good friend or any of these things, but it does impact, as we talked about with the spoons, my capacity sometimes to meet those expectations. And I think understanding that is so important and is so, I mean, I got more work in my business when I stopped hiding the fact that I was disabled. Yeah. Like I don't know why it happened. Maybe it created this connection. I stopped doing work for people that didn't couldn't meet my, like, I'm pushing myself at the moment with work, but one of my clients, I did a half day on Friday because after Thursday was a full day, like almost 2 whole work days wrapped up in one. I did a half day and I was on the phone to this client and I was like, look, I can only do a half day today. I'm so exhausted. And she was just she just was like, yeah, that's totally fair. We'll check in Sunday or Monday or like whenever you're back, like take that time for yourself. And they're the people that I want to work with, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
And interesting. And I talk about it, actually, I'll put this will be the first plug for my book because I paid the invoice to get it formatted and ready for printing. And this is what I talk about in my book. It's about the fact that owning my disability helped me connect better with myself. And I will put a little picture of the cover. It'll be the first little tease.
Oh my gosh, cover. I'm so excited.
Yeah. And it's what I talk about. It's the fact that for a long time I was lost and I was just moving. I was barely moving through life. I lived in and out of the hospital and all of this. And I was able to, I was supposed to do architecture and I did that and hated it because of the systemic ableism that we've got. We don't design buildings for people, and I talk in my book about how what I wanted was to build homes for people, and I do that by doing branding, by helping people tell their story. Like that's all I do every day is help people tell their story by telling my story. You know,
Yeah.
it's real. Anyway, so my book will be coming soon.
Ooh.
There will be an ebook available before the printed version if you wanted to get the scoop on that. But yeah, it's exciting. Anyway, that's my big goal for 2025 was to publish this book.
Oh my gosh.
So that's crazy, and I've done that. You know, well, I wrote it. I finished writing it like last year in April.
Yeah, you've been working for ages.
Yeah, and I completely rewrote it. It's a completely different book. So the copy, the copy you've got is like nothing of what I say anymore. Yeah, it's kind of unbelievable, and there's something so inherently powerful in being able to tell your story. And
absolutely,
you know, everyone's got one.
Mm.
You know, that's I think how we find our purpose in life is through that story. Yeah.
Wow.
Anyway, so people should buy my book.
Yeah.
Moral of that story. So as we kind of talked about, disability pride doesn't always look like you waving a flag. Sometimes it's soft. Sometimes it's showing up as you are, using your mobility aid, resting when you need to, and saying, this is enough, I am enough. If you're still learning how to take up space in a world that tells you to shrink, we want you to know that you're not alone. Pride of any kind, disability, LGBT, anything relating to your identity, is personal, and you're allowed to move at your own pace.
If this episode resonated with you in any way, please let us know. You can find us on Instagram at halfway to healing with little underscores where the spaces would be. Like, follow, send us a message. We love hearing what stuck with you. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the podcast, leave a review, or share this episode with someone who needs it. It really helps us to keep this space going.
Thank you so much for being here. We're so proud of the space that we're building with you, not for you. And we'll see you next time on Halfway to Healing.
Have a good week, everybody.